It's not a game of can you think the hardest and do the most research up front to figure out what kind of ad you need to run creative wise and who you need to target. You figure all of that out through testing. So that's why you first need to have a chunk of money to actually be able to run those tests. Then you need to set those tests up and run them. And you need to run tests that, sure, some of it you can think of off the top of your head, like, oh, maybe I would try and target these people with this type of creative. But then also think of stuff that you wouldn't think of and try that, because it's literally a testing and a data game. It's throw out a bunch of different tests, get the data back, analyze what worked and what didn't, and then throw some more tests out and just keep doing that, constantly testing, constantly iterating and improving. And especially at the beginning, you don't know who you need to target, what creative you need to throw at them to get everything to convert and work and drive sales and profits for you. So you really just need to set up a ton of different tests. And I have a video that's called how to organize and structure your campaigns, ad sets, and ads. So if you want to see like how I actually go through and set all this up, I would definitely recommend looking at that video. But just for kind of like a basic approach when I'm getting started, like let's just say it's a new product that I'm testing, or it's a client that just brought me on to start running ads for their product or their service. The very first thing I'm going to do is just set up a campaign. Again, I'm not going to blow through all the different campaign types here. I explain that in other videos. So let's just say I'm selling a product on a website and I'm trying to make conversions. So we're going to use a conversion campaign. So what I like to do is start to set up a campaign, and then inside of that campaign, I'll have 5, 10 to 20 different ad sets. Each of those ad sets is different. Each of those ad set has different targeting. That's the first thing that I focus on, is targeting. So I have different targeting inside of each of those ad sets that I'm going to test. And then I use the same creative for all of those different ad sets, or maybe 2 different creatives. But the reason I focus on targeting first and only run one creative to all that targeting is because if you focus on the creative first without having found your audience, you can just consistently be running the best creative in the world to the wrong audience, and nothing is ever going to happen for you. But if you find the right audience first, if an audience that works, then you've already proven that this creative works and this audience works, and then you can throw a bunch of different types of creative at that audience, and then you can see which creatives work the best, having already proved that this audience is a good audience to be targeting. And so once you figure out audience first, you're targeting first, then is a good time to test a bunch of different creative and see which creatives perform better. But if your goal at the beginning is to just figure out which creative is best without really figuring out your audience, then you could be spending money on, like actors, filming, and I don't recommend that. I think most of the time we should just be grabbing an iPhone and filming with that, like just creating very low cost advertisements and creative. But it can add up, it can be costly, and especially if you're trying to test 3 to 5 to 10 different pieces of creative without ever having found your audience first, you're just going to be most likely throwing money down the drain. So when I'm first setting up my ad sets, it's all about different audiences. And I see people try and do different locations, different countries, different age ranges. And I actually, for like just right from the start, just very beginning testing, I don't really, unless it's like I know for sure it is location specific. Like if I'm selling something that's only local delivery in this area inside of a certain radius, then location targeting makes sense. But the thing that's so great about the internet is you can reach people all around the world that are interested in the same thing, or a country interested in the same thing. So as far as location, if it's something you can ship worldwide, I would just leave it open worldwide. If it's only like United States, then I'd narrow your location to United States. But the reason I don't think location is necessarily all that important at first, or age range or gender, is because Facebook will actually start to figure that stuff out for you. So I would recommend testing interests first. So detailed targeting, interest targeting, and behavior targeting, working on finding your audience through those. And then once you've let those ads run for a little bit, and so let's say you're getting some conversions, you can actually just click into your ads and see, okay, is it women or men that are buying, that are making the most conversions, or that are making me the most money? Is it 25 to 35 year olds? Is it 55 and up? You can just click in and see all that data after the fact. So And what I see people do is like they'll just choose one interest, or they won't choose any interest at all, but they'll choose like, so they'll set up like 3 different age ranges, and then they'll set up like 9 different locations, and those are the things that they're testing. You're not really testing different, like, what people are interested in. You're literally just testing different age ranges. So it's much like the thing that's so powerful about Facebook. One of the things is that you can actually target people based off of what they like, or based off of recent purchase behavior and things like that. So basically, to sum up everything I just said, I create a bunch of different ad sets, all with the same ad, the same creative, and what I'm testing and what I'm changing in each of those ad sets is the detailed targeting, the interest and the behaviors. And here's another little tip. At the beginning, I don't like to include a bunch of different interests in the same ad set. I typically only like to test one interest in each ad set, or maybe I'll do one interest narrowed through one other interest, but that's kind of the most that I'll do for initial testing. And the reason that I don't like to do that is because if you compile 5, 10, 20 different interests onto the same ad set, you could be including interests that don't work for you. And then let's say that it does work, you don't know which one of those interests your conversions are actually coming from. So I like to say first test interest individually, different behaviors individually. And then once you've found some that do work and do convert, then you can start to compile those into the same ad set. And I'm sorry if this is all kind of scattered. I'm just freestyling this here, but that's the same kind of approach I take with CBO, which is campaign budget optimization, which means that when you set up your campaigns, so what I was just talking about, how I set up all those different ad sets, I don't like to use CBO at the beginning, because what CBO does is it sets your budget at the campaign level and then distributes how it sees fit the budget throughout all your different ad sets. So if Facebook wants to, and I've seen this happen a bunch of times, it can just continually, say you've got 10 different ad sets, it can just feed your budget to one ad set even if it's not converting, and then all your other 9 aren't really getting tested. And so I want to set up different tests. I want to find audiences that work, and so I want those ad sets that I set up to be thoroughly tested. So I like to set my budgets at the ad set level, and not at the campaign level at first. But again, just like I explained with once you found some interest at work, then compile them. I think the same way about ad sets and campaign budget optimization. Once you've found some ad sets that work, then I think that's a good time to compile them, which kind of is just a way of saying give that campaign a campaign set a campaign budget optimization on that campaign. So then Facebook at that point is now choosing how to distribute your money to ad sets that it already has data on, and data that proves that these ads already work. So hopefully that makes sense. I think it's just a much smarter way to go, save you money, and if you're saving money running ads, then you're essentially making more money. So far we've got our campaign set up with a bunch of different ad sets inside of the campaign, running the same ad to all of those ad sets. Inside of those ad sets, we've got a bunch of different audiences that we're testing, and those audiences we're talking about interest and detailed targeting. And then we've got our budget set at the ad set level so that each one of those will be thoroughly tested.